Today's news highlights. Date April 29, 2025. News highlights on the 28th, the Executive Yuan, Chuk Wing-tai, went to the Legislative Yuan to meet with various party groups, explaining that the special budget has been increased from 88 billion yuan to 410 billion yuan, covering four main axes: supporting industries, stabilizing employment, taking care of people's livelihood and strengthening national resilience. The budget will be financed from the surplus, without borrowing, and will be implemented over 3 years. The government will allocate 100 billion yuan to inject Taiwan power to stabilize prices, and invest in strengthening Taiwan's military equipment and information security protection. In response to the Taiwan-US trade talks, Zhou stressed the need to prevent the washing of origins and illegal transshipment, and strive for reasonable tariff treatment. News highlights: Epoch Times reporters Yu Huafu and Dan Berger won the 2025 Council of Religious Evangelists Wilbur Award for their outstanding reporting exposing the CCP's forced organ harvesting and support for Israeli Jews. Fu Yuhua reported on the CCP's atrocities of organ harvesting prisoners of conscience, while Berger documented American Jews volunteering in Israel. The prize recognizes works that convey religious values fairly and honestly, and emphasizes the importance of communication to foster understanding and cooperation. News highlights on April 28. Widespread power outages in Spain and Portugal paralyzed traffic and affected parts of France. The subway was suspended, flights were delayed at the airport, street traffic was chaotic, and some buildings were evacuated. The Spanish and Portuguese power grid companies are urgently repairing and coordinating with European energy units to restore power. Portuguese police have called on the public to avoid unnecessary travel, and the cause of the accident is currently under investigation. News highlights: CLSA pointed out that the worst scenario of US-China trade may have passed, and there will be 3 scenarios in the future to deploy Taiwanese technology stocks. If the tension eases, Phison, Spectrum KY, etc. are expected to rebound. If the temperature rises, it should be deployed in the Chinese market with high proportion or high-yield stocks, such as Mediatek and Novatek. If the stock price is weak, you can buy growth stocks such as Xinhua and Caimao on DIPs. Short-term technology stocks are supported, but AI fundamentals remain concerning, and supply chains are bullish in the long term due to capacity shifts. News highlights: under the pretense of acting as an agent, the fraudulent group fraudulently obtained the credentials and identity information of the people's natural persons, and opened a large number of digital accounts, so that the people became the head of the household. 7 banks, including Zhaofeng Bank, First Bank, and Huanan Bank, have suspended online account opening solely on natural person certificates to prevent loopholes. In the future, digital accounts will need to be opened over the counter or through existing accounts, video verification, etc., so as to strengthen identity verification and prevent fraud. News highlights: Trump's 100th anniversary will be celebrated in Michigan to promote the fruits of reform. The Economist described Trump's revolutionary plan, which has won the hearts of his supporters, has hurt the United States and risks becoming a dictatorship. In the first 100 days of Trump's second term, he was extremely fast-paced, relying on a large number of executive orders to drive policy, but the repeated trade and tariff policies filled the economy and financial markets with uncertainty, increased the probability of a recession in the United States, and jeopardized his political credibility. News highlights: Huanan Jin, 2,880, announced a dividend in 2024, distributing 1.25 yuan in cash and 0.1 yuan in shares per share, with a total dividend of 1.35 yuan with cash and total dividends hitting a 19-year high and a cash yield of about 4.7%. Since 2021, Huanan Gold has focused on cash dividends to improve the efficiency of capital use. In 2024, the net profit after tax per share will also reach a new high of 1.68 yuan, with a surplus distribution ratio of 80.4%. Overall, the total amount of cash allocated by the 14 financial holdings is estimated to reach RMB 260 billion to RMB 280 billion this year, a record high. News highlights: the Trump administration has cut education spending and tightened international student visas, undermining America's position as a magnet for talent. The global flow of talent is accelerating, and Taiwan has the opportunity to take on this wave of changes. Lin Keong pointed out that the advantages of high-tech industries make Taiwan attractive, and he has actively launched overseas talent recruitment activities. However, Chen Shuheng reminded that Taiwan still faces competition from Singapore, China, Japan, and other countries, and needs to improve the internationalization of higher education and academic rankings in order to become a new talent center in Asia. News highlights: recently, Taiwan's Central Weather Bureau issued a cold snap warning for the northeast monsoon, and the strong cold snap will further affect Taiwan this weekend. Temperatures are expected to drop sharply, especially in the north and northeast, where temperatures will be at their lowest. The Meteorological Bureau reminds the public to take precautions against the cold and keep warm, and warns of the possibility of snow in alpine areas. This cold snap will not only affect temperatures, but also rain will affect some areas, especially the northeast. People are advised to bring warm clothing when going out and pay attention to weather changes in case of sudden cold drafts. News highlights: the executive branch approved the 410 billion yuan draft of the special regulations on strengthening resilience in response to the international situation, covering three major areas. First, 93 billion yuan will be supported for the industry, including financial support and preferential loans for small and medium-sized enterprises, strengthen the cold chain system for agricultural development and export. Second, it will invest 150 billion yuan to strengthen the resilience of homeland security, enhance defense capabilities, and plan to build patrol ships and strengthen maritime surveillance. Finally, 167 billion yuan will be taken care of people's livelihood, covering power subsidies, renovation of old houses and social welfare, and strengthening education and labor health insurance funds. News highlights: Trump returned to the White House to become the 47th President of the United States, although he shouted realizing the golden age of the United States, but after 100 days in office, he was forced at home and abroad, and the polls hit a new low. In terms of domestic affairs, more than 130 administrative orders were signed, most of which were rejected by the courts, and social antagonism intensified. Diplomatically close to Putin but alienated from allies, detonating a global stock market crash and economic discontent. China and Russia have taken advantage of the situation to grow, and the international status of the United States has declined. There are many demonstrations in the United States, the people are deeply disappointed with Trump, the liberal order is in jeopardy, and the chaos may be difficult to contain. News highlights today, 29th, it will be cloudy to sunny in Taiwan, cool in the morning and evening, but from Thursday, 5/1, it will change again due to the influence of the front, enter the rainy season, and there is a tropical disturbance that may develop into the first typhoon Butterfly this year. The European model predicts that the disturbance has no obvious development, while the American model has a strong simulation, and the path may affect the formation of the Mia front. Experts warn that the current forecast divergence, which should be continuously observed. The weather in the future is roughly cloudy and hot this week, local thunder showers in the afternoon, next Tuesday, 5/6, with more fronts and more rain, and better after Wednesday, 5/7. News highlights: Li Jianyu, the former chief inspector of the Environmental Protection Agency, was impeached and transferred to the disciplinary court by the Supervision Yuan in November last year on suspicion of repeatedly sexually assaulting and harassing female colleagues, trainees, and external employees, with 11 victims. The Taichung District Prosecutor's Office detained him this month and granted his warranty. Li once attacked female colleagues on high-speed rail, offices, and other places, and confessed that female colleagues were irresistible to him. Li had a record of sexual harassment as early as the director of the Qi County Environmental Protection Bureau, and was later transferred to the central government, and the official was the chief inspector. News highlights: when the Kuomintang Legislative Yuan Caucus summoned Fu Kunking to serve as the magistrate of Hualien County, he raised the ore tax by 7 times, and Fuan Mining sued and won the lawsuit, and the county government had to refund 250 million yuan, but the industry has not received the money so far. It was revealed that a senior official of the Hualien County government threatened to withdraw the lawsuit, and put pressure on him by stopping work, and Fu Kunking was suspected of being the instigator behind the scenes, and was investigated by the prosecutor as a defendant. Fu clarified through a friend that the tax was legal and did not go into private hands. News highlights: the Kuomintang 426 Kaidao rally was exposed to mobilize suspected migrant workers, and Vietnamese nationals wearing Zheng Zheng's hat were accused of holding only residence permits, not identity cards. He Sheking, the proprietress of the Hsinchu Health Center, was interviewed and confirmed that the participants held residence permits and slapped Zheng Zhencheo's office in the face. Dai Zhenbo, the leader of the double recall, criticized Zheng for violating the law on the election and recall of public officials, and demanded an apology to the foreigners to restore the truth. News highlights: the first episode of the Jiang podcast. Jiang Li Gum invited Makiyo to talk, and Makiyo broke the news that Rainy Yang was taken care of by her and her mother in her early years, but she didn't recognize anyone after she became popular. Makiyo revealed that she paid for the fun together back then, but after Rainy Yang became popular, she turned a blind eye to Ma's mother at a public welfare event, and Ma's mother was so angry that she choked on the spot, and the scene was embarrassing for a while. Afterwards, Rainy Yang changed her tone and took the initiative to say hello, which caused surprise at the scene. News highlights: on the USS Truman, an F/A-18E Super Hornet fighter and trailer lost control while towing and both slipped into the Red Sea, with a market value of about NT $1.65 billion, but fortunately only one sailor was slightly injured. The U.S. military said the accident was under investigation and the ship's combat capability was not affected. The USS Truman is currently supporting the youth movement in the Red Sea, but the U.S. military's operations have been constrained, and 7 Reaper drones have been shot down in the past 6 weeks, with losses of more than NT $6.4 billion. News highlights: Shinkong S&P Electric Vehicle ETF, 00925, a subsidiary of Shinkong Investment Trust, will terminate its listing on June 5 due to an average net value of less than NT $100 million for 30 consecutive business days. According to the stock exchange, this situation is in accordance with the business rules, and investors can continue to trade before the termination date, after which the relevant services will be taken over by Shinkong Investment Trust. Details can be found on the Shinkong Investment Trust website. News highlights: thoracologist Su Yifeng pointed out that sweets, sweet fruits, ice, and tobacco should be avoided when coughing, because it will increase the amount of phlegm, tracheal contraction, and prolong the cough time. Milk may also increase phlegm, so you can drink it by heating, and avoid sesame oil and tonic medicine in case of acute cold, so as not to aggravate inflammation. Su Yifeng emphasized that this is based on personal medical experience, and individual physique may still be different. News highlights: a 45-year-old man ate Taiwanese bread for breakfast every day for 3 consecutive years, resulting in a weight gain of 10 kilograms and abnormal diabetes indicators. Physician Lu Boren suggested switching to sugar-free soy milk and boiled eggs, jogging for 50 minutes a day, and successfully losing 5 kilograms and returning blood sugar to normal within 3 months. Lau pointed out that the type of food has a great impact, and delicate bread can easily cause blood sugar spikes, insulin secretion, and increase the risk of obesity and diabetes. News highlights: Tokyo Rei Hotel in Sapporo, Hokkaido, Japan, reminds that you should not leave without permission when you check in, and lists the 4 most commonly mistaken items: towels, bathrobes, electric kettles, and hair dryers. The hotel said that the items in the guest room are registered, and if they are lost, they will be fined or reported to the police. After the video was exposed, it sparked heated discussions, and many people were surprised that some people even took away the kettle and hair dryer, and netizens called on the hotel to clearly mark what items can be carried to avoid misunderstandings. News highlights: millions of YouTuber grandma Caiaga passed away, and her cousin did not return to her hometown immediately, which caused family discussions. He made a film on the 28th to clarify, "I am not Jia Xian," calling on the outside world to stop attacking his family and return his innocence. Caiaga thanked his family for their support over the years, and also apologized to his family and fans, saying that he would accompany grandma to the last journey and go on hand in hand. He once shared the story of his friend Jia Xian being exploited by his relatives on a podcast, but emphasized that it had nothing to do with him. News highlights: Li Zijun, who has the title of AI Goddess, has been in turmoil recently, first announcing that she would join Taiwan's Fubon Titans and South Korea's LG Twin cheerleaders at the same time, and was revealed to be playing a big name. Although the cooperative manufacturer Daewoo Information came forward to clarify her good attitude, the controversy has not subsided. Another source pointed out that Li Zijun offered nearly twice the remuneration when he received the endorsement in Taiwan, which deterred some manufacturers. Despite the controversy, her popularity has attracted several brands to line up to collaborate. News highlights: Andre, a Polish internet celebrity who has been in Taiwan for 12 years, recently shared in the community the joy of finding the egg cup in Ziobe department store, and happily said that he could finally eat breakfast like in Europe. However, after the video was exposed, Taiwanese netizens discovered that what he bought was actually a sacrificial cup for worship, which sparked heated discussions, laughing and saying that the gods are going to eat eggs too and the 15th day of the new year is especially suitable for use. Ender Zulong behavior is also praised for being fully integrated into the local culture. News highlights: Kuomintang legislator Zheng Zhengchao was suspected of being a migrant worker in Vietnam as a member of the 426 guerrilla movement, and was suspected of violating the election and recall law. He claimed that the foreigners were all new residents with Taiwan identity cards, but He Shiking, the proprietress of the Hsinchu City Health Center, admitted frankly in an interview that some people only held residence permits and did not obtain identity cards, which debunked the statement. Dai Zhenbo, the leader of the Hsinchu Double Strike, criticized Zheng Zhengchao for being stubborn, calling on him to apologize to the victimized foreigners and return justice to the people. News highlights: the Kuomintang and the People's Party jointly held a rally and shouted anti-Green War dictatorship, which aroused concern and controversy. Chen Huiven, a veteran media person, criticized the KMT's recall of Lai Ching-te as a vote fraud, denounced its inability to reform and the disqualification of the Cooperative People's Party, and lamented that the party had lost its backbone. News highlights: American director Ji Jingwen directed the documentary Invisible Country, which closely recorded Tsai Ing-wen's 8-year presidential career, showing Taiwan's democratic transition, gender equality, and national identity, which attracted international attention and won the International Film Festival Award. News highlights: after the Kuomintang Kaidao rally on the 26th, Zhu Lailun and others went to the police station to explain that Fu Kunking was mistaken for dentures falling out because he chewed the 8 immortal fruit during the interview, which caused heated discussions. After the truth was exposed, netizens laughed and said that there was a misunderstanding. News highlights: Li Seung-jin's father-in-law was involved in the stock price case again, and announced through a brokerage company on the 29th that he would sever relations with Li Duan's mother's family, apologize to the victims and fans, and emphasize that he will face social responsibility with correct values in the future. News highlights: recently, a group of elderly people organized by Bahai Fei Yang Travel Agency and booked to Hunan and Hubei Province was lost in the Zhangzhuangpu Expressway service area of Jingzhou City, Hebei Province because the local agency Hunan Shenzhou International Travel Agency did not pay the fare for the tour bus driver. Bahai Fei Yang Travel Agency urgently paid more than 40,000 yuan to pick up tourists afterwards, and has reported to the police and reported the situation to the municipal government and the Municipal Bureau of Culture and Tourism, condemning the other party's untrustworthy behavior. The incident also highlights the serious impact on the rights and interests of passengers caused by poor coordination between tour operators and local operators. News highlights: a man in Meerut, India, Azam, married a 21-year-old girl arranged by his brother and sister-in-law, but on the day of the wedding, he found that the bride was the other party's 45-year-old mother Tahira, suspected of being involved in a 500,000 rupee money transaction, and was threatened to be falsely accused of sexual assault if he resisted. Afterwards, HM called the police, but after the two parties reached a settlement through negotiation, the case was finally withdrawn and no longer pursued. News highlights: a shooting murder occurred on Wensheng Street in Bangqiao, New Taipei on the 27th. 35-year-old Xianan was refused to save his ex-wife Chen Nu, and angrily shot and killed Chen Nu before committing suicide. Chen Nu died on the spot. Xianan was sentenced to brain death after being sent to the hospital, and died at 8:45 this morning. According to the police investigation, the two got married last year, divorced at the end of March this year, and still lived upstairs in the studio, which eventually led to a tragedy. News highlights: Xiao Yuchuan suffered a hip fracture, underwent 5 surgeries and intensive rehabilitation, and officially made a comeback at the press conference of the mainland program Let Me Sing on the 28th. She described her mood as her debut, thanks to the support of fans. She is currently recovering 8%, continuing to recover, showing her strength and singing skills on the spot, and she is in excellent condition. News highlights: Yang Nini recently moved to Hangzhou, China, with her husband Zhang Shihao and son Miu Miu. She shared her new home on social platforms, revealing that her home has not yet been renovated, not even the curtains have been installed, and said that she is gradually adapting to the new environment and adjusting her lifestyle to cope with the local dry climate. Although she is currently based in Hangzhou, Zhang stressed that they will still travel back and forth between the two places due to work needs. News highlights: Xiao Yufen, a former member of the girl group South Taiwan Little Girl, has recently soared in popularity due to her participation in variety show Class Awesome, and her personality has become more lively, and she has begun to try new things. Looking back, she talked about the experience of drowning when she was a child, and revealed that the painful memories of losing her sister to a typhoon 17 years ago are still heavy. Although her sister is deceased, Xiao Yufen said that her sister appeared in a dream and silently protected her. News highlights: Xiao Tiantian, Zhang Qiun, announced last year that she would leave Taiwan to develop a live streaming business in Xiamen, but quietly returned to Taiwan less than a year later. It is reported that her sales performance in live streaming was not satisfactory, and she did not even get the profit she deserved. Although she made a lot of efforts to attract traffic, including eating snakes and other specialties, the results were not as expected. As a single mother, she works while raising children, and although she has posted many posts in the community to express her bitterness, she still works hard for her career. News highlights: recently, a Ukrainian woman accused that when she checked into the APA hotel in Japan, she found a strange man hiding under the bed, and the police failed to catch the suspect after reporting the case, and the hotel refused to compensate. The woman revealed that she stayed in the hotel for 3 nights, and the room rate was as high as $510, which made Lin Shibi, a Japanese expert, exclaim that the house price was too high. He pointed out that even during the peak cherry blossom season or golden week, housing prices should not be so high. This incident aroused the attention of netizens, and discussed the news of the soaring price of Japanese hotels and the investigation of hotel prices by the authorities. News highlights: Li Jianyu, former head of the Environmental Inspectorate Corps of the Environmental Protection Department, is suspected of abusing his authority to sexually harass and sexually assault a number of women for a long time, including female staff, female employees of contractors and trainees. The Taichung District Prosecutor's Office has taken Li into custody and applied for detention. Li Jianyu's actions included petting, bear hugging, sexual assault, etc., and the victims exceeded 11. Many victims do not file complaints for fear of reprisals. In an investigation, Li said that his appearance and clothing made women irresistible, and he had no remorse for his actions and was extremely contemptuous. News highlights: adult men need about 3,700 ml of water per day, and women need about 2,700 ml of water, about 30% from food and other beverages. When calculating the amount of water, you need about 30 to 35 ml of water per kilogram of body weight. Beverages such as water, tea, and coffee can all be counted as sources of water, but choose sugar-free beverages and avoid completely replacing water intake with sugary drinks. Staying properly hydrated is good for your health. News highlights: Trump plans to announce favorable auto tariffs, including avoiding double taxation, relaxing tariff rules on parts, and providing tax rebates to reduce the burden on automakers. The move is intended to encourage supply chains to return to the United States, which will have a positive impact on the automotive industry in the short term. News highlights TSMC, Nvidia, and other senior executives lobbied the unappointed U.S. Secretary of Commerce Lutnick, hoping to influence Trump to ease tariffs. Lutnick's hardline stance and support for more U.S. investment in exchange for tax incentives is seen as an important driver of Trump's economic policies. News highlights the power outage in Spain is the worst accident in Europe in more than a decade, and it is suspected that the abnormal frequency of the power grid has triggered a chain reaction. The reboot requires a complex hack start procedure, which may take a week to recover. The high proportion of renewable energy and the lack of interconnected cables also exacerbate the risk of unstable power supply. News highlights China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs released a propaganda video no kneeling, emphasizing that it will not bow to the U.S. tariff hegemony, criticizing the U.S. for coercing other countries and describing them as the eye of a typhoon with hidden murderous motives, declaring that China will stick to its position and never compromise and back down. News highlights a total of 59 recall cases in Taiwan have entered the second stage of joint signatures, and 16 cases have passed the threshold in the Blue Committee, which are expected to be sent in May. The progress of the Green Committee is slow, and only Wu Saiyao has broken 10,000 copies. The prosecution found that many cases involved death and joint signatures, and the party headquarters of the Blue Camp was searched, which strongly rebounded. The Kuomintang turned from defense to offense, shouting 520 strike, and the political situation was likely to face a big shock. News highlights Trump's polls hit a record low, but it pushed Trump coin up 60% after he announced that he would invite coin holders to dinner. The political decline is in sharp contrast to the boom in the currency circle, reflecting that the virtual currency market is dominated by celebrity effects and topics. News highlights millions of people were affected by a massive power outage in the Iberian Peninsula yesterday, with traffic paralyzed, network disruptions, train stoppages, and a system disconnection caused by a sudden loss of 15 GW of power supply from the West French power grid. The specific cause is still under investigation. News highlights the verdict was pronounced on May 13 in the case of a boy suspected of being abused to death by a nanny sister in Taichung, and the two sisters confessed repeatedly in court, prevaricating without remorse, arguing that tying up the baby was to prevent accidents and the punishment station was a cool zone. News highlights the Taiwan Labor Insurance Bureau has issued 20 payments from today, 4/29, including labor insurance annuity payment, disaster insurance annuity payment, disaster insurance disability care subsidy and labor retirement monthly pension. First case, reminding the public to remember to swipe the passbook for confirmation. Until the end of April, we will continue to account for the national pension, old age pension, maternity benefits, survivors' pensions, funeral benefits and other payments to ensure retirement and living security. News highlights a man from Kaohsiung, Taiwan, drove an SUV into a crowd of Philippine cultural celebrations in Vancouver, Canada, killing at least 11 people and injuring 32 in a serious car accident tragedy on the evening of April 26. Law has been charged with 8 counts of second-degree murder, and police ruled out a motive for the terrorist attack and noted that he has a mental health record. The incident shocked the whole country, and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau went to the scene to express condolences. News highlights since May, a number of new systems have been put on the road. The tax declaration deadline has been extended to June 30. The housing tax 2.0 has been implemented with differential tax rates, and Taiwan railway fares have been increased in June, and Huadong residents have enjoyed discounts. News highlights according to a poll conducted by the Formosa Island Electronic News, President Lee King's trust has declined, and there has been a death cross in power for the first time, and dissatisfaction is more than satisfaction. Guo Zhengliang predicted that Lee King's polls would continue to fall, and the key was whether Zhu Liluan was prosecuted, criticizing Lee for not reflecting on the fear of going all the way to the black. News highlights a fatal accident occurred between Dawen and Neilai of Taiwan Railway this morning, and a woman of about 80 years old broke into the track and was hit by a train, and died on the spot. The police initially ruled out external intervention, the accident was ruled out, and the 2-lane resumed normal driving. News highlights climate change has increased the level of inorganic arsenic in rice, which may increase the risk of cancer. Chinese medicine practitioner Wang Hinming reminded that switching to 3 cooking methods, such as pre-steaming and re-cooking, can effectively reduce arsenic intake and be safer than changing rice for health. News highlights Mayday guitarist Stone is rumored to have immigrated to the UK with his family because of his emphasis on family and education, and has frequently appeared at London music venues, showing his love for music and British life. News highlights Wang Xiaofei and Mandy were rumored to be holding a wedding in Beijing in May, and Mandy's ex-husband Robert posted that he was intimidated and smeared, and publicly recorded to express his helplessness and pressure, which attracted attention from the outside world. News highlights the 19-year-old Korean female idol Jisoo publicly stated on the 28th that she was harassed by the representative of her company, including inappropriate physical contact, and accused herself of involuntarily quitting the group. She will hold a press conference with her mother on the 29th to demand that the perpetrator leave and apologize to the company. News highlights because of his long-term resentment, the man surnamed Wang of the mainland buried the explosives in the grave of his deceased brother, causing 3 nieces to detonate and die during worship. In the first trial, he was sentenced to death and compensated about NT $638,000. Wang Nan appealed, and the second trial was held recently, and the family hoped for a fair trial. News highlights: Japanese actress Nagano Miya was exposed by Weekly Wenchun about being involved in married actor Kei Tanaka and splitting Korean actor Kim Moo-jun. She appeared in public for the first time on the 28th, formally apologized to fans and related people, admitted that her rash behavior caused misunderstanding, and stated that she would be cautious and self-disciplined to rebuild trust. At present, both her and Kei Tanaka's brokerage companies have denied the indecent accusations, and the follow-up development has attracted much attention. News highlights: a 45-year-old man ate tabletop bread for breakfast almost every day for 3 consecutive years, resulting in a weight gain of 10 kilograms, and abnormal diabetes indicators were found during the health examination. At the suggestion of physician Liu Boren, he replaced bread with sugar-free soy milk and boiled eggs, exercised every day, and successfully lost 5 kilograms in 3 months, and his blood sugar returned to the normal range. Liu Boren emphasized that delicate bread can easily cause blood sugar to soar rapidly and stimulate a large amount of insulin secretion, which in turn leads to obesity and diabetes risk. News highlights: a 70-year-old grandmother surnamed Xia in Taiping District, Taichung City, walked 6 kilometers alone to the high school where her grandson had studied to find him because she missed her grandson who she hadn't seen for many years. After receiving the report, the police rushed to the scene and found that the grandmother had forgotten that her grandson had already graduated from university due to the influence of dementia. In the end, with the assistance of the school, the family was contacted, and the police escorted the grandmother home. The family thanked the police for their enthusiastic assistance and said that they would be more concerned about grandma's life in the future. News highlights: a terrorist attack broke out in Indian-controlled Kashmir on the 22nd, killing 26 people. A male tourist accidentally filmed the scene of the attack while taking a zipline selfie, and the tourist was seen fleeing in panic and falling to the ground after being shot in the background. The man and his family rushed into hiding and saw many victims. The incident was the most serious attack on civilians in recent years, triggering a new round of tensions between India and Pakistan. News highlights: a car crash occurred in Vancouver, Canada on the evening of the 26th, resulting in at least 11 deaths. The suspect, Luo Kaiji, an immigrant from Kaohsiung, Taiwan, has a mental health record and is now charged with 8 counts of second-degree murder, and police will charge him more. The Luo family moved to Canada in their early years, but after the death of their father and brother, the family pressure was heavy, and the mother was hospitalized due to grief.